Hello friends, in this lecture, we're going to create the stun state for the player. Okay, so in order to implement this, we're going to do the same things we did with the enemy. So because of that, I'm going to give this to you as a challenge. So go ahead and implement the stun state for the player based on what we did for the enemy. The only difference is going to be the isStunned boolean. We're going to use that in different places, but besides that, it's going to be exactly the same. Give it a shot and come back when you're done. Okay, so first of all, we're going to create the variables and the functions. We're going to create the isStunned boolean and the stun timer. So let's first include the header file that we're going to need for the timer, which is going to be engine timer handle.h, just like that. Then we're going to create the boolean. We can simply copy and paste isAlive and then change it to isStunned. We'll set this to be false. And then we're going to create the timer. Let's do that after the delegate. ftimer handle stun timer. And then finally, we're going to declare the functions that we're going to use for this, which are going to be stun. This is going to take in the duration in seconds. And then the function the stun timer is going to call, which is going to be on stun timer timeout. Just like that. Next up, we're going to create these functions. And actually, we can simply copy and paste these from the enemy because they're going to be exactly the same. So at the end of the player, we're first going to go into the enemy. We're going to find on stun timer timeout and stun. Copy these. And then we're going to paste them here. Only thing we need to change is going to be the class name in these three places. Just like that. So stunning the player is going to be exactly the same. Next up, we're going to use the isStunned boolean inside of here. We're going to use it in three different places. First of all, inside of move. So now one of the conditions of moving is going to be not being stunned. Just like that. After that, we're going to use it inside of jump started. In a similar way, we're going to say is not stunned. And finally, we're going to do the same thing here inside of attack. We're going to say and not is stunned. So now if the player is stunned, it's not going to be able to move, jump, or attack. Great, so the next step is going to be actually calling the stun function here inside of take damage. At the top here, we'll say stun duration. And that's going to basically conclude the stun state for the player. It works exactly the same as the enemy. Like I said, the only difference is the places that we use isStunned boolean. That is different. Now we can go ahead and test this. Okay, so we can go ahead and test this, but I'm actually going to go into the enemy blueprint first, and then I'm going to increase the attack stun duration to be something like 2 seconds so that we can more easily see the stun of the player. Otherwise, it's just going to be too quick. So we're going to go ahead and get hit by the enemy, and after I get hit, I shouldn't be able to move, jump, or attack. And as you can see, that's working. For 2 seconds, I'm basically paralyzed. And we're also playing the take hit animation, which is great. So that means everything is working just fine. We can go ahead and reset this to be 0.3 seconds again. And we can also test it and see what it's going to look like normally. And as you can see, the stun state is much shorter, very brief. One thing we can test here is just trying to run past the enemy. And once we get hit, we're going to stop for a split second. Just like that. So yeah, this is working. Let's do a final recap. In this lecture, we created the stun state for the player based on what we did for the enemy. It was exactly the same, besides the fact that we used the isStunned boolean in different places. But let me just go ahead and explain the stun one more time. So first of all, we're checking if the stun timer is already active or not. If it is, we're clearing it and then we're setting it again, just so that the stun starts from the beginning. After we set the stun timer, we're also calling stop all animation overrides for the case that we get attacked while we were attacking ourselves. In that case, we're going to interrupt or stop the animation override, and then we're also going to disable the attack collision box, just in case it was left on. When the stun timer is over, we're going to set isStun to false, finishing the stun state. And the stun function is being called inside of take damage when we take a hit. And we're using the isStunned boolean inside of attack, inside of jump started, and inside of move in order to control those behaviors of the player.